and we know from years gone by how Super League tables can twist and turn from here on in. But we also know you do get a feeling very often for how a side's going to travel by the time the Easter break has gone. So both these sides will be looking to be in the healthiest position possible if they can. It's going to be Wakefield with first touch of the ball. Hamlin Ueli will bring it pounding back into those advancing St Helens defenders. And Wakefield already looking to play with a bit of verve here.
Yeah, and getting some good metres after contact there over on that far side of the field. Mike McMeekin, again, I mentioned him just moments ago. He has been a pillar for Darryl Powell.
Well, it's 8 years, and we'll whisper this at the moment, 8 years since St Helens lost 3 consecutive Super League games. So they'll be hoping to avoid that tonight and just reassert themselves in that table, which sees them looking decent at the moment. You know, 1 or 2 Saints fans have been grumbling, but they're only a couple of wins away from being in a very decent position, aren't they?
Yeah, sure are. Mason Lino just gets to the last play of the set and puts the ball high. Tristan Saylor, of course, operating at fullback. A switch that Paul Wellens and his coaching staff have made. A little bit exposed last week in the cup, out on the edge.
Mosby had a demi-half looking for Whitley on this left-hand side, who plays in the centres, of course, the back row man, playing as a centre, as he did last week against Warrington in the cup, and St Helens advancing at the moment beyond the 30, so quiet start, an efficient start from both sides as they look to make their early mark. Here's Mbai, options right and left. Left it comes to Wellesby, employed in that line, and here comes the athletic figure of Curtis Sirinen, who'll gather in a couple of more yards before eventually he's hoisted down. And the young fella, George Whitby, puts the ball up in the air. John Stone underneath it, and he's caught it safely. The chase is good from Benison, and Wakefield have to start from there.
Yeah, decent kick there from Whitby. He's putting in that box corner, that 10 by 10 metre square. Decent end to the set there for Saints.
It's a big night for the young fella, isn't it, Whitby? We'll talk, I'm sure, a lot about him as the night goes on, but we have seen other St Helens youngsters of late coming into a side and making a big impression. The latest of those, Harry Robertson, of course, last year, who's now very nearly a regular in the starting lineup. But Wakefield with work to do. Nino helping it on its way, and a little skip and a jump sees Wakefield's advancement only minimal, because St Helens' defence is good enough. And on the last, Lino will kick. It's got a spin on the ball, but it's a true enough bounce. Well, Benison just tricked by the final bounce there, and maybe lost a yard or two as a result.
Yeah, but they start 40 metres away. Harry Robertson, big plus having him back, of course, back from that HIA sustained over in Catalan. Decent kick pressure as well there from Curtis Siren on Mason Lino. Means that St Helens, through Matty Lees, can just explore into Lino again and just cross over the halfway line.
It's a muted atmosphere at the moment, but it won't take much to spark this St Helens crowd into life. Not many travelling Wakefield fans here tonight, but they too, as we said before, travelling with lots of confidence and hope. That's a good carry from Walmsley, who's literally put his back into it and taken his side almost to within 20 metres. It's a quick switch out, and Saylor gets a pass away, and here comes Benison. Benison hunted down and dragged down by a recovering Wakefield defence, but Saints on the last have a wonderful position to work from. The kick is testing. It's up and taken superbly well, and a reach for the corner by Murphy. What a start to the night that would have been for him against his former side, with who he really sprang into prominence, didn't he, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of parts on that there. As St Helens look to try and drag Wakefield over the try line here for a repeat set. I think they've got him.
Yeah, they have, and this is a very dominant St Helens performance we're seeing at the moment. And talking about confidence, George Whitby just looking up at the Saints fans and shouting, asking for their encouragement.
With youth there, so often comes excitement. It was Tristan Saylor's lovely ball out to that right wing, John Benison. George Whitby's kick was a neat one. Lewis Murphy just centimetres away. As a wonderful tackle from Walmsley and Cam Scott. But it's 6 more here to deal with.
Wakefield under the pump, and knowing there's another wave of attack coming their way, unless they can get it back from this short kick out. Well, it's not got back, it's given away, and Morgan Knowles has a gift with which to score. Well, they're having a look again here. Let's hear from Tom Grant. See what he has to say. Just confirm there's no double movement, please. Try on the field. looking at the double movement, so let's hear from the video referee, Aaron Moore.
Okay, so we've got an on-field decision of a try. We're looking at a possible double movement, so we'll play it through from here. We're all right with this. It's gone back from Wakefield, so we're going to play it through here. We're going to play it through and go in full speed. So Noah's going to the line, and now we'll go slow on this, and we'll go back. We'll go from the other angle to see more here. So we'll go camera 1. So we've gone in full speed, and we're just going slow now. So Knowles is going towards the line, he breaks the tackle there, and the ball's grounded. We'll just play it in full speed again. It's full speed here, you can clearly see he breaks the tackle, and the ball's grounded. Thank you, I've seen all I need.
Seen all he needs, and it's a very clear decision to be made here as well. What a gift for Morgan Knowles. What a way to get the scoring underway. Wakefield went short, but the gamble doesn't pay off, and it's St Helens who prosper.
I'm not sure why they needed another look at that in full speed, because evidence was all there. Jay Pitts just falls off the tackle. You're right, Morgan Knowles perhaps scores the easiest try of his career. It's his 4th this season, Dave. He'll not score an easier one, I don't think, for some time. They go for the short dropout once again. We've seen that so many times this season. When you get it wrong, it can be costly, and it's St Helens who lead 4-0.
Well, one of the most popular Cumbrians in these parts. One of Morgan Knowles, try scorer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sam.
And here he is. We know he's not short of confidence, George Whitby. He did play in the Challenge Cup first round against West Hull. Well, he not only scored a try in that game, but he landed 5 goals. And if you remember his debut against Hull KR, he scored a try and kicked a goal that day as well. But he doesn't kick a goal here. Talk about cursing the kicker.
Yeah, just
he puts it wide.
Yeah, pulls it a little bit to the left. Morgan Knowles, delighted with the start. You just see here, I think it's Tom Johnstone who just climbs high, big left palm, trying to get the ball into the arms of Jay Pitts. Morgan Knowles on the prowl, he's there.
So the restarters, St Helens, have it back again and looking to work their way forward as quickly as they possibly can. It has been a trend of Super League this year, hasn't it? That short dropout.
Oh, it's one of, when it comes off, we're all saying it's great, but the other side to that is it can be costly, and on that occasion it was, as Curtis Sirenen just tries to get forward and dealt well with there by Cam Scott.
So St Helens with that early boost of confidence, looking at Lees with a pass away, and the end of that was Whitby, but Wakefield defenders responding well enough, but St Helens are looking really good here at the moment, and they are looking to prosper again. It's Sirenen, it's a 0 tackle. Reset the tackle count, because there's another 6 to come here. St Helens, Wakefield are under incredible pressure.
Yeah, there's some worrying signs for Darryl Powell's troops at the moment. They just can't quite cope with the physicality, the speed in and around the ruck as Morgan Knowles looks to move the ball out wide. Batchelor broken down there.
Batchelor down and up, and Mbaye is quickly in there as well, injecting himself into the situation. And Knowles wants another look at that goal line if he can. Becomes a Knowles sandwich between Wakefield defenders. This is Saylor. Can't escape the clutches of Cam Scott. So 2 plays to go. St Helens less than 10 away. And it's swept towards the middle, and Wellesby's kick. There's only him chasing that, but he has forced the dropout. Rorke's got back and puts it dead. And in that respect, it was a clever kick.
He just got the weight just about right. There's nothing doing. Just pokes a kick through, seeing that Rorke's not quite there, and Rourke does ever so well to get across and knock that ball dead. But once again, it's another 6 here to come for the visitors. Will they go short?
I'll take the ball, mate. You tell us around it.
Lino went short once, and it would prove costly. There's going to be a bit more welly behind this. No, there's not. They're sticking to the plan, trying to get that ball back, and they will this time. get the ball back. There was a St Helens knock-on in amongst of that. I know Wakefield have lost it.
Looked like a knock-on from Tom Johnstone.
Yeah, I think the touch judge might have had an involvement there.
Just then.
I saw a couple of times last week in the Cup against Lee. They nailed that play, and that's twice now they haven't. And just at the speed at what St Helens have started this game, Dave, there's an opportunity here for them to get another try.
Just have not been able to escape their end of the field for any length of time, Wakefield.
Back in, please.
They've only been playing for 9 minutes, but it feels like most of that has been at this end. And St Helens full of intention and full of excitement again here. Wellesby, Saylor stops, goes back towards the middle. It's Sirenen who tries to push away a couple of defenders. And by Wellesby's calling the shots from his left shoulder, and by back to the middle, and they fire the rocket of Walmsley at the defences, and they just about hold on, but look how much closer they've got again. And By goes out there. Whitby pops it back into the hands of Mbai. Here's Walmsley. And to smash his way through. Thought about the offload, it very nearly proved effective, but they just kept a hold. And By again. Whitby. And now out wide, and Saylor's involved. And eventually Robertson's going to be put down. Does he reset again? It's with Whitby. And here's Walmsley. And the offload, keeping it alive, and By bouncing around. Sirenen rolling out of a couple of defenders, and he gets an offload. And now it's back into the hands of Knowles, and Walmsley bounces off, and Whitby throws it out there. Robertson's closed down. Johnston read that really well, and boy did he have to.
Yeah, huge read there. Wakefield just falling off far too many tackles at the minute.
This is the last. Whitby puts it up in the air. They're up after it as well, but it's taken superbly by Lachlan Walmsley on the full. So a tap back on the 20. They did well to survive that, Trinity.
Yeah, they did. They both edges defended really well there. Tom Johnstone on that far side, and Cam Scott, who's come up with a number of solid reads so far. And finally, Wakefield gets some possession. It's took near enough 10 minutes.
Early days. Very nearly 11 minutes played now, and this is going to be a penalty for Wakefield.
A relieving penalty there. St Helens just messing around in at the ruck far too long. 7 tackle set given away off that kick, and then they backed it up 2 plays later with a penalty. Lees and By and Knowles just too long.
Time off, come on, mate.
Well, Wakefield are going to take as much time as they can here just to get some oxygen back in their lungs. But now they have an attacking position.
This is where they're dangerous, Dave, down this end of the field. And they're not afraid to throw the ball around. Hamlin Muella
setting a platform. Hood waits. Looks to that right-hand side, and Hamlin just moving his big frame into the situation. You could see the intention there of keeping that ball alive, but never a safe pass. Hood and Lino, little double pump, and they've left it behind. Vangana can't keep a hold, and St Helens are let off the look here as Lees brings it forward.
disappointing error there from Vangana. Just when you thought that they were going to start to build a little bit of pressure into this game. Just let St Helens off the hook. And now they back that up with a penalty. This time it's Hamlin Muella. Or is it Vangana? Isaiah Vangana in there too long.
So the kick is cleared. Whitby have always disappeared in the crowd, and there was a cheer from fans. I think it hit somebody it shouldn't have done, but anyway. Here's Walmsley, who carries with determination. And by jogging up there to dummy half again. Darrell Clark, of course, one of those absent for St Helens tonight. And Saylor with a left foot step. Still St Helens' top try scorer at the moment, Tristan Saylor. 9 to his name in all competitions. Quick hands from Whitby, but again the read was good, and Ollie Pratt came out quickly and closed things down. But Saints can start again.
No disadvantage.
Walmsley spinning away. Was there a trip there? He's having a look at the referee. I think he thought he was tripped as he went down. Referee sees nothing wrong with that. Saylor puts it back. Whitby with a double pump. Beautiful. Absolutely sensational from the young fella to put it on the plate for Matt Whitley to score. But what about that? 18 years of age, and George Whitby's just produced a little bit of lovely magic.
Yeah, it was beautiful play, wasn't it, from George Whitby? And this score, it had been coming, Dave. That penalty given away, that error, then that penalty, just inviting St Helens, and they're moving the ball well tonight. George Whitby with a beautiful, soft, subtle little double pump, and the space just opens up for Matt Whitley. Saylor lets it go, but just watch there, that moment. I said Cam Scott had been defending incredibly well so far, but the double pump there, Dave, just means that he loses sight. He's watching the ball, and Matt Whitley just goes through without a glove untouched.
This is a kid who looks like he's going to grab his opportunity with both hands here tonight.
He certainly does. There's a huge carrot on the horizon for him. Next week, of course, that Good Friday derby. George Whitby, we certainly want a piece of that. A decent start from him so far.
Well, Whitley, the try scorer, but he will be the first to acknowledge the part played by the young half. He's been here a while now, since he was 14 years of age. He's a Blackbrook kid, and he's been involved in this academy and scholarship at this club for a long time, as we said. Debut against Hull KR last year, but he's an England Academy captain as well, back in last summer, so that kind of reflects his maturity, doesn't it? And here he comes, given every chance to kick that, and he has matched the artificial intelligence with the reality on the pitch, and St Helens have started superbly well. They lead by 10 points to 0.
Yeah, they certainly have. You just see the try again unfold here, the double pump there. You just see Cam Scott, he's got an eye on Whitley, and the minute he pumps it, he sort of turns in. And Whitley gets his first try of the season.
We've got some good ones coming through at Saints.
Move now, mate. Come on, Liam, hold.
It's a conveyor belt that keeps on delivering.
Play on, play on.
10-0, 16 minutes very nearly played. Wakefield need a response here.
Move on again, Liam, hold on, mate.
Every game they played this year, the 3 away games, winning those. The 2 of the home games, Hull and Hull KR, they only lost by a couple of points. It's only St Helens who've done a job on them so far. St Helens are doing a job on them again here at the moment. And by to Walmsley.
He's lost the ball.
Yeah, looking for another offload, but instead he's giving it away.
Liam Hood just threw everything into Alex Walmsley. He spills the ball.
And Bye's hanging on to it desperately, hoping the referee will reverse that, but he hasn't. So Wakefield with a very decent platform. Hood striding over. 3 St Helens bodies get out of the way, and Hood decides he can have a scamper from dummy half. He's got Nakatimo on his debut, taking it to within 12. McMeekan puts it back. Lino now up to the line, and across it comes to Walmsley. There's nowhere for him to go because St Helens' defence was there and in numbers. So Wakefield have to start again. Scott back on the inside. Lino. This is McMeekan looking to push. Hood. Back it comes, and it's Pitts. Just tries the body swerve. They're on the last. Hood again, skimming it out to Lino. Lino will chip towards the corner. Walmsley gets up there, but comes down and finds a wall of defenders, and it's out of play.
I think they're going to get 6 more here, Dave. It looked like the offload from Walmsley. It comes off a St Helens hand. Just keep your eyes here. I think it's Whitley. Yeah. And it rolls out into touch. It should be 6 more to Wakefield.
Well, we're going to the video referee to decide on this.
Challenging the decision of not play that.
So the captain's challenge on the original decision.
So we've got a captain's challenge. And
Yeah, you only about 4.
So we've got a captain's challenge from Wakefield. They're challenging the ruling of not played at. So it's from a kick, so we'll play it through here. So Lino kicks the ball. All chase to the right or onside, so we'll play it through here. Play it through, we'll go tight in on this now. So then Walmsley takes possession of the ball. He takes possession, and then we'll just on this one, and then that hits the hand of Matt Whitley there. It hits the hand of Matt Whitley, and then it goes into touch, which will be a lateral handover to Wakefield. Challenge successful.
It's going to be a handover.
Yeah, well, worth the challenge. Worth the challenge. Wakefield do get the ball back.
Play the ball. There.
And Carl Amor spotted that. From 60 yards away.
Eagle-eyed.
So the Wakefield fans jubilant in that far corner.
Time's still off.
And Wakefield with a set of 6 to try and put a little bit of closeness to them, to their opponents here tonight. Needing points on the board. It's led in the first instance by Hamlin Uele. Here's Hood at dummy half. Mike Meakin lining up left, and Lino's gone over there as well. It is Mike Meakin who's driving it in and pumps it away to Lino. Dummy show. Lork, the fullback, involved in the line, but can't trick a path through. Instead, it's Hood again. Pitts popping it up. Taken in. They're going to held up. 10 away. Still tackles in the back here. Hood again.
Still 3.
St Helens players urged to get square. The ball out to Walmsley. Walmsley now, that's going to take some finishing. Flicking it back on the inside, hopefully. I think that was a knock-on.
Yeah.
And I think Wakefield are going to get it back again here. Knowles couldn't gather it up sweetly enough.
The speed at which St Helens tracked across to shut Walmsley down. He does brilliantly. He does ever so well, sorry, to get the ball back into the field of play, and then Morgan Knowles just can't quite take it in. It's another set of 6 here, Dave. It's the 3rd one in a row.
As you say, the offload there took some balance and strength, didn't it? And it has given his side another opportunity. So effectively a 3rd set. And Walmsley to feed. And Pitts will gather it in, and Lino's there as well, and Rourke, and Benison comes out quickly to close things down.
An important tackle there.
Here's McMeekin, looking for an angle, looking for a way to blast his way through. Hood lines up. Back it comes, Lino once more, and he tried a little no-look pass. The ball's gone to ground, it's picked up by Saylor, and we know that Hika's got some shift. Wakefield defenders, they're scrambling back. But Saylor with a chance to clear the lines, and St Helens are going forward with real energy again now.
Morgan there with another error. And in the blink of an eye, they go from defending their own try line here to crossing over the 40-metre line. Harry Robertson just trying to stand up Pratt. Pratt as well.
This is Benison. Looking inside for Whitby. And Walmsley comes charging on.
Move, red line.
That intercept and that clearance run has given them still loads of tackles to play with here, in very decent position.
Just one thing they've noticed here with Saints, the amount of times they're dropping people underneath and the ball's still alive.
Sheridan, wonderful offload in amongst 4 defenders there. They've got numbers here. The step by Wellesby has made it an open goal for Harry Robertson to get over and finish. It looked almost as if Wakefield had rescued that situation, but Wellesby with the guile and the wherewithal just to slip it away, and Robertson has Saints third.
A number of times that St Helens are just dropping bodies back underneath, really challenging and tiring out the middle unit of Wakefield. A number of times they've fallen off tackles there, they're not completing offloads at will of Saints, and everybody's in the motion, everybody's in the groove, moving forward. And here's the turnover. Wagenaar just losing the ball. It's an offload from Sirinen. And then Knowles just giving it to Whitby, all quick releasing out the back there to Welsby. There was a little bit of work to do, and then Robertson just glides over for his sixth try of the campaign inside 7 appearances for the young centre. But just here, he shouldn't be getting this ball away. That tackle should be complete, Dave. It's happened too many times in the opening quarter. And that's the reason why St Helens ran away with 3 tries to 0. Their inability to finish tackles off Wakefield's costing them.
Well, we talked about his prolific nature when he was a young player in the academy, Harry Robertson. Times when they took him off the field because he was unstoppable and scoring 3-4 tries a game. He's doing it in the senior game now. Yeah. That's a wonderful return.
You mentioned this man in the picture, George Whitby, and that conveyor belt that they have at St Helens and producing top players like all the top clubs do. Well, Harry Robertson and George Whitby are just the next wave here.
Well, that kick predictor is based on his successes so far this year. So given the angle that he's got to aim at, it just tells you how consistent he has been when he has had the ball to kick, and he's done it again. 2 out of 3 and 16 points to 0. St Helens lead here, and this is a performance to put a smile on Saints' faces.
It's something that Saints have struggled for a number of years. That kicking department, the goal kicking department as well. Mark Percival averaged 70%. Whitby's gone 2 from 3.
Again, it's the faith that the St Helens coaching staff, Paul Wellens and co, have got. John Bennison's kicked a couple of Super League goals this year in the absence of Mark Percival, but they've handed that straight to the youngster, and he has not disappointed so far.
No.
Don't move to the side, Morgan, on the mark.
It's another
game
big
tomorrow,
run.
of course, Warrington against Hull, and then Cass against Lee, back-to-back tomorrow on Sky Sports Plus. Huddersfield against Catalan, rounding up the round 7 action on Sunday. And then we start again, and what a weekend next week. The rivals round, Wakefield Cass on Monday, Thursday, and then the big 2. Hull against Hull KR, Wigan against St Helens. Which of those is the biggest derby? You take your pick. It's an unwinnable argument. And Leeds against Huddersfield, just to round things off on the Friday night, Friday evening. And there's still more to come. Lee against Warrington on the Saturday, and Catalan against Salford on the Sunday. Meantime, Wakefield through John Stone have the ball back from that kick.
Stand now, hold! One line's good.
And they've got work to do here. We're already at a stage where you'd suggest they probably have to score next.
Yeah, certainly. I had a bit disappointed, really. I came into this game hoping that Wakefield would carry on the way that they've been playing. They've been in a lot of games. Even the losses that they've had, they haven't been by much. But again, I'll go back to, I'm not too sure whether it's the pace and intensity that Saints have started, or the drop-off in Wakefield's defence have not been able to complete and finish tackles.
They both come here on the back of Challenge Cup defeats last weekend.
Give 10, Mike.
Wakefield have had the longer rest. Lino with a kick, the bounce is awkward, and Saylor's got a motor here, but position recovered by Whitby. Not until that final bounce was he ever considered anywhere near favourite to come up with possession, but he's done a job. And Alex Walmsley's coming off, by the way. His first spell on the interchange bench. There's a young fellow that's replaced him.
Go 3, be careful, Mason. Speed the ruck up. 4, move back.
And by.
Go 4.
Knowles here, and Whitby again, Welsby. Robertson just trying to glide his way through. Poetry in motion when he's running with ball in hand. Last play, so Welsby sticks it up in the air, and there's a challenge on, but Rourke comes down with possession. And Wakefield grateful to have it back again.
Well, look where they have it though, Dave. 12 metres away from their own end. Saints are finishing the sets very well tonight. Just turning the screw, asking the opposition to come all the way from near their own try line to get anything. That 3 plays gone. And 8 metres made.
Another game tonight, you can see it's as tight as you would have expected it to be. Hull Kingsley over 6, Wigan 6. That's over on Sky Sports Action. Just the 2 games tonight, back to back.
Hold! Release him, back foot!
One play to go.
Go 5.
Lino.
40, Liam Wood.
Well, he's a good way inside the 40, but it was an optimistic effort to find the touchline, and
Surrender!
Benison will bring it back.
It's just not really bought much land, Mason Lino, with those kicks tonight. They haven't really got the distance on them.
Let's be back on the inside again with a pass.
2, move on the mark! Yeah, Liam, hold. Step back, Mike. Go 2. I won't do you for them, Liam.
Whitley.
3, move, Isaiah, hold! Hold! Hold.
Here's
6
and by.
Mason Lino,
Another set of 6. Start the count again. Knowles with what is now effectively number 1 tackle. On the platform set inside that Wakefield half, and St Helens are really anxious for more here. Wellesby along the line, Saylor, Robertson delaying things, trying to create as much room as possible for Benison, but
Stand, Tom.
Wakefield there in numbers.
Go to a good line.
Wellesby. And Dye along the line, and again that was a good defensive read from Cam Scott, who closed things down before it developed into even more danger. Knowles on the inside. Oh, Delaney. Oh, this is terrific from George Delaney. An absolute smash and grab attempt on that line. A quick play the ball as well. And there's a bit of space there for Wellesby to try and have a go. He's put it down and he's lost it. It's a penalty offside, so St Helens get a penalty.
George Delaney there, just carrying hard and direct. Wellesby, I think it's Hamlin Llewellyn who's offside. They have to do another set of defence here. Look at this run. Goodness me. Gets rid of Liam Hood. Just gets pulled down short.
Bumpers up and off he went.
Yeah.
We're going for goal here. Again, it's young George Whitby who's told the referee with 2 fingers in the air, all rather politely of course, that he's going to kick for goal. This should be 18-0.
What's that?
And again, just going back to Wakefield's defence tonight. They give away in that set, they give away a 6 again. And then they give away a break, and then they give away a penalty. They're not quite where they need to be. And that'll be disappointing for Darryl Powell.
Saints fans behind those sticks would have arrived here tonight with an air of trepidation, wondering how this might develop. But so far so good from St Helens' point of view, and we are still in the area of Wakefield needing a response, or needing something rather quickly here as they trail 18 points to 0.
We talked about it before the game, didn't we, about the need for both of these 2 sides that have been dumped out of the Challenge Cup, and with what's coming over the next 3 or 4 weeks, it was important that they had a response tonight. And so far it looks like the home team, it's just meant perhaps a little bit more to them this 80 minutes. There's still plenty of time on the clock, of course, 50 to go, but Wakefield need to find something, and something very quickly.
Buckland Walmsley with a restart, and Saints come again here. Wakefield's time at this end of the field has been all too brief, especially with ball in hand, and too many mistakes when they have been there to really put Saints under any kind of pressure thus far.
Again. Yeah, Mason, hold. Hold. Go 2 nice, Mason, he's okay. 2.
And there goes out. St Helens come again. That's another good carry. A really long busting effort from Lees, and it's followed up by Sirinen, who keeps it alive. The offload a little scrappy, but the general effect is good enough because Batchel is able to pick up and sweep it forward again. And by Knowles just taking it in that nuggety fashion of his. But they're on the last. Wakefield looking to put pressure on the kicker here, but Whitby does get a kick away, and he puts some leather on that as well. John Stone underneath it and catches, but his return is kept to a minimum by St Helens Chase. And Wakefield start from there, 15 from their own line.
Once again, Dave, as well, it's been deja vu for Wakefield. just continually through George Whitby's kicks, just finding Tom Johnstone. And again, that first tackle's made 12-15 metres away from Wakefield's line. They haven't had really any kind of opportunity down in good ball, and when they have, they've spilled the ball and they've not created any pressure. And on the back of that, they haven't even been really there physically in defence. Offload here from McMeekin, and it's Wanganau with a third error.
It was a tough pass though, wasn't it?
And they get away with it, it goes back.
And here's the last, and Lino has to get the 7-iron out to jab it downfield because they were coming hard and fast, so he couldn't get the ball over the top. And instead it's brought back by Saylor.
Go on the mark, Tristan, that's you, pal.
Dennison.
2, move, red line, middle. Hold.
Jogging up his by.
Too good.
Knowles again, just...
3, move, find me.
He's like a Cumbrian farmer, isn't he? Rolls the sleeves up and gets himself stuck in right down the middle. Delaney, he's had one massive impact already so far. And by again, Wellesby and Robertson's involved, and Bennison's drawn back to the middle. Wakefield have survived 5 of them. Can they survive another? Wellesby up in the air. Rourke trying to get in position. It's a juggle, but he's got it. And Wakefield again relieved.
Yeah, good take there from Rourke. But again, without sounding like the same, look where they turned the ball over once again.
Deja vu all over again.
All over again. It's been a decent 32 minutes from the home team.
But they are being squeezed out of it when they do have ball in hands, Wakefield. And very little permission to advance, and well, this is decent at the moment. This is more than decent because suddenly they've got room to work. Johnstone coming back on the inside and almost finding a way through. Well, this will lift the Trinity spirits. And again it's alive, and Johnston, oh, and Lena, unforgivable, drops it away. Delaney picks it up and finds his way back just inside the Wakefield half.
Yeah, just when you thought that finally Wakefield had arrived with ball in hand, you keep it alive, and it's Mason Leno's turn to spill the ball with no one around him really.
That was Lewis Murphy.
Perhaps Leno just thinking about that next pass. You've got to take it in first.
And by. Here's Wellesby again. Offside, I think. Yep, offside. Fatilli trying to get there as quick as he could, and he was a little too quick in the end. And Saints, well, do they kick for goal here? Yes, that's what they are deciding to do, because of course this would give them a 4-score lead.
Yeah, it would. Perhaps that maybe just shows that Saints just want to stay professional and make sure that they get the win here. Surely 18-0 up. The way they're playing, Dave, you would have liked them to keep chancing their arm for a try inside the last 6 minutes. Wakefield have had to do an awful lot of defending on the back foot. But Whitby just decides with a bit of maturity ahead of his years just to select 2.
Yeah, I will do, yeah, don't worry.
Well, this is a huge mountain now, isn't it, that Wakefield have suddenly been put ahead of them. If he kicks this, to score 4 times without conceding again.
Yes, but if you look at the half as a whole, they've just been on the back foot. They're not, again, they haven't been able to physically match what Saints had thrown at them.
So Whitby settles 3 out of 4 so far tonight, and that will be 4 out of 5. 20 points to 0. It's not exactly rocking and rolling on the terraces at St Helens, but they should be very happy with what they're seeing so far.
Yeah, perfect response. Of course, a club like St Helens would have liked to have been in that semi-final of the Challenge Cup, but that's gone now. And players, while it hurts, Dave, let me tell you, it does hurt when you lose a big game. You've got to quickly flip your mindset and focus on the rest of the season, and that's all that they can do.
5 minutes of the half remaining. Wakefield have had barely a glimpse of their opponent's line. They need to get more than that. They need to get full sight and make something of it in what remains. But at the moment, you put money on St Helens scoring again if either team was to get a score before the half-time hooter sounds. And it is St Helens who are looking full of confidence. That early try that came from that mistake, that Wakefield mistake, must have settled any possible nerves that Saints would have had. And they have grown and grown since then. Well, they've looked well worth this 20 points to nil lead.
Move, Mike, get that middle. Hold.
And by a little sneaky peek around to see what's on offer in terms of passes, and Wellesby's there who wants the kick. Again, that's a good one. It's flying almost overwrought, but he got back there to catch that well enough. And it's just as well, otherwise they could have been losing another 20 metres or so. Instead, Wakefield start from there, and it's a high tackle. So they get an even better start here.
There's Joe Batchelor. Comes out of that ruck quite gingerly. As the right edge back rower.
Good to go.
Just see, as he's fallen to ground, he just catches him. It's that bicep. Just catches him round the chin.
White line.
So tap restart inside their opponent's hearts. And here's something to give them just some hope.
One. Move on the mark. We're there, Moses. We're there, Moses. We're there.
Harvey Smith, the young dummy half,
Go, nice. Good
been on the field a while now. It goes to Rodwell. Kai Rodwell backing up another extra couple of yards as well. Smith looking left this time. Pitt's involved, and he's trying to work a way through on that left-hand side. There's certainly some threat down that left-hand side. St Helens have dealt with it so far. Pitts again. Lino, a couple of dummy runners, then it comes out, and eventually to Walmsley. Josh Rourke stands and waits, and Lino again. Walmsley decides to put his shoulder into it. McMeekan, I should say, puts his shoulder into it. Here's Smith. Slow play the ball. Referee's okay with that. Lino sticks it up in the air. There's a challenge for Bennison. Oh, Johnson got up there. He's just denied and scrambles to keep that ball alive, but it is knocked on. And Saints survive that scare. But the best that Wakefield have had so far.
Yeah, and he's such a huge aerial threat on that left edge. Tom Johnstone. Mason Lino under a little bit of pressure there from Batchelor, gets the kick away. Tom Johnstone climbs high. There's an offload there, and then Tom Grant, somewhere in amongst the human rubble, just decides that that ball has been knocked on by Wakefield, and St Helens survive.
Well, even if it hadn't been a knock on, I think tackle was complete anyway, wasn't it? So it would have been a handover because it was the last. So not too much to complain about on that occasion. St Helens, in the meantime, looking to dig their way out of trouble again, or dig their way from deep. It's not been often so far tonight that they've started a set down here. Suriname popping it up and keeping it alive, and Wellesby tracking across, and into the line comes Bell on from the interchange bench.
Curtis Sheridan has caused this right edge of Wakefield all sorts of problems. Such a big presence. Offloading the ball for fun.
Comes the last. Chip over the top by Whitby. Oh, he has put a foot wrong tonight. Just overcooks the kick, and it'll give Wakefield potentially a full set of 6 here. 45 seconds to go. The time is ticking down. They're losing tackles with every second that goes past, so they'll want to get on with it quickly.
As Mike McMeekan just puts the young kid under pressure. Comes off a bit of the side of his boot. Fartilly 40 metres away now here from Saints' line.
Well, a couple of plays left at least here. 25 seconds. Saints trying to slow things down, but McMeekan, oh, a lovely drifting step from him, the big fella, and the offload, and it's kept alive. And suddenly Wakefield have hope in their hearts here because they're taking it close. This is Smith. Back again, but a bruising effort coming out of defence. Just closing down Wakefield's opportunities and their final chance of a half. That sees a rousing round of applause from St Helens fans as their side go off. It started with a Wakefield mistake and no scoring from that dropout, and since then It has been all St Helens in that first half.
Yeah, it sure has, Dave. 20 points to 0 on the scoreboard just tells you the picture. Over the 40 minutes, it's been one-way traffic. And it's St Helens who roll into the second half with a 20-point lead.
Well, looking back on all of that in just a moment. But half-time, St Helens 20, Wakefield 0.
Cut away for 4. The Ashes well and truly alive because of one cricketer.
Verstappen is out of the race, and that's a big crash.
Take your eyes off this game.
The tension is unbearable.
Did we mention it might be spicy?
And it's on. They love each other, these two sides. That's a great shot.
It is everybody's favourite weekend, isn't it? Apart from maybe the Grand Final, apart from maybe the Challenge Cup. There are so many great weekends. But this is amongst them. The Rivals round starts next Thursday night. Wakefield against Cass, 7:55. That is going to be epic. And then it's epic part 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Good Friday, Hull FC against Hull Kingston Rovers. At midday, Sky Sports action and main event. And then stay right where you are for Wigan against St Helens. Sellout crowd, I think we're expecting for that one, 2:45. And then just when you feel as though you're exhausted, get yourself up for another. Leeds against Huddersfield, 5:25 on Sky Sports Plus. What a Friday. And then you've got a couple of hours recovery before we go again. Lee against Warrington, 1:25 on the Saturday on Sky Sports Plus. And Catalan against Salford rounds us off at 5:55 on Sky Sports Plus next Saturday. Wow, I just love Easter. We love Easter. And it is always such a pivotal part of the season, it seems. And St Helens at the moment are heading into Rivals round looking quite healthy, leading by 20 points to 0 after that first half that they have dominated with 3 tries and a starring performance by young George Whitby, not just only kicking 4 goals, but handing a couple of those tries as well. And Wakefield yet to trouble the scorers. So they'll be wanting to change that as quickly as they possibly can in the second half. But a lot to like in that first half, Kylie.
Yeah, one directional from the home team. I mentioned a number of times that Wakefield just haven't really shown up to the party. And this was the try on 5 minutes that kind of begin the rot, if you want to call it that. Morgan Knowles just is given a gift here. Tom Johnstone just tries to climb high, knocks the ball back, it comes off Rourke's hand, he can't take it in. Jay Pitts tries to get hold of Morgan Knowles, but he slides over. And then this was a nice piece of play there from the young half, in for Johnny Lomax. Boy, he's taken his opportunity in the opening 40, some neat kicks from him and a nice try assist to his name before Harry Robertson gets on the score sheet. And this picture was a common theme. Curtis Sheridan should be dealt with there, should be stopped. The ball gets promoted, Knowles out the back to Whitby. Whitby releases Wellesby, who gets in between his centre and then Robertson just to finish it off. A real nice try here for St Helens, but this came off the back, Dave, of hard direct carries. Wakefield's inability to put the body in front to try and dominate their opposition. And I mentioned one-way traffic, well, that's what it was. And in the end, these are the kind of pictures that we've seen on a number of occasions. The ball going from one side of the field to the other to St Helens, and then George Whitby's penalty, of course, means that the scoreboard sits at 20 points to 0. But just look at some of the important stats here. The obvious one, completed sets. Wakefield only complete 50%. You'll never win a game of rugby league with those sorts of numbers. Missed tackles 14, and then St Helens' offloads there, 10 offloads. You know, that's the reason why the board sits like that, Dave.
Stats top trumps for St Helens all the way down there, isn't it? He's absolutely dominant in every one of the key areas, and Wakefield making too many mistakes in amongst it all as well. So, St Helens leading by 20 points to nil at half-time. Can Wakefield turn it around, or do they remain grinners and winners in this second half? We'll find out in just a few moments' time. Welcome back. Looking forward to this second half here. And we're looking forward to everything that's coming up on Sky Sports over the next week or so as well. Tomorrow, Rabbitohs against the Cowboys. 8:30 on Action and Main Event. And 10:30 on Sky Sports Action, you can see the Parramatta Eels against the Canberra Raiders. And Sunday, Knights against the Tigers. 7:05, early start for that one on Sky Sports Action. That's your NRL action over the weekend. Lots of Super League still to come, of course. Warrington against Hull FC, Sky Sports Plus, 5:25 tomorrow. And that's followed by Cass against Lee, 7:55 on air for that, Sky Sports Plus. And Sunday, Huddersfield against Catalan, 3 o'clock kick-off. Join us 5 minutes before the start to catch the build-up on Sky Sports Plus. But in the very here and now, that's the situation we have. St Helens leading by 20 points to nil, fully deserving that lead as well. Dominant first half display by them, and Wakefield will need a big response here if they're going to get themselves back into the game in the second half. If they are going to do it, Kyle Amor, how are they going to do it?
Well, by completing the sets for a start and physically being ready, because I don't think St Helens are going to let up. We saw glimpses of what Wakefield could do when they moved the ball out to that left edge. Johnstone had a bit of a break. But other than that, whenever they've got into good ball, they haven't built any pressure, Dave. They've come up with a number of errors. Ranganat just came up with 2 near their opposition line, and then St Helens have just, through George Whitby's kicks, have put it on the ball on a shoestring.
Well, it has been a perfect start to the year, Wakefield, in terms of on their travels, but less than so today. So they're hoping to turn that around. But I mean, St Helens generally have a fantastic record against Wakefield. In the 58 Super League games they've played against them, they've won 48. It's an 80-odd% winning rate, and that's the biggest winning ratio they have against any club. They've played more than 25 times down the years, so they do enjoy a match against Wakefield.
It's looking like it's going to be another win. We've got 40 minutes left. The first couple of sets will tell us a lot about what was said at half-time, and the ball moved out there. Lewis Murphy just scampers and skirtles across.
Well, we haven't seen too much of him tonight, have we? A couple of tries on his debut, but that was against a very, very weak Salford side. He was superb for Wakefield a couple of years ago when he really came to the fore, and that led to a spell in the NRL. Yet to light the fire of his St Helens career because of injury. There's a kick from Whitby, which just tickles the touchline, but Rourke is able to carry and bring him back. And an immediate challenge from Bell. He'd have felt that one. So Wakefield with hard work to do to try to bring it clear.
Go too good.
A dabble out of dummy half, but without any great positivity on that occasion. Smith hurling it back to the middle again. Saints' defence is tight and working hard. Here's Harvey Smith, McMeekan and Nicotimo. To remind you, making his debut tonight. His mum and dad were in attendance when they handed his shirt over yesterday. Apparently his mum was quite emotional. High kick taken safely enough by Saylor. Because you would be as a proud mother, wouldn't you? They've travelled over from down under, not realising that their son was going to make his debut. It's a happy coincidence, so they've timed it well. And by lining up at dummy half, Morgan Knowles just stalking up behind him. He's not going to be involved here. Rugged carry and challenge into the teeth of that Wakefield defence by Lees. Knowles to Welsby, tracking back towards the middle. Comes Sirenen. He's going to struggle back to his feet as quickly as he can. Here's Delaney, a little bit of space in which to run as well. And we saw in the first half when there's bodies in the way, he can make his mark, but leaving some space. He's got the footwork, but couldn't quite get through on that occasion. Johnstone's underneath this. It's a little bobble off the chest, but safe enough. The chase is good. And Rourke, was he caught? Oh, no, he wasn't. In a very, very similar position here, Kyle.
Yeah, once again, just putting that kick on Tom Johnstone's head. And what that does, Dave, is it takes away his carry. He has to catch it, and then the chasing right edge of St Helens get a decent look at him. He's such a threat out of backfield, Tom Johnstone. That's the reason why Whitby just keeps landing it on his head. Takes him out of the set.
They're looking balanced tonight, aren't they, Saints, with Welsby and Whitby in the halves and Sailor more of a full-back role. Pick up by Smith. Lino, more height than distance. Causes a bit of a problem for Murphy. My goodness. Well, he's got a job in the circus if the rugby league career fails.
Well, it was a wicked kick from Lino, one of those spiralling kicks, and he didn't really look confident, Murphy, as he came towards it, but he gets a little bit of fortune, a couple of juggles in there. Morgan Knowles now just straightening up and crossing over the 40.
So they've got tackles in the bag, so what can they make? Oh, Whitby again just coasting his way through, leaving a couple of defenders on their backside, Fatili amongst them. Knowles to Welsby. And here comes Sirenen, looking to get one of those big arms free, but driving the legs as he does so, and takes St Helens to within touching distance. Here's Whitley, but he's cut down in his prime, and Wakefield have it back, but with only a couple of feet between them and the goal line.
Yeah, this is where St Helens, they really hunt. Just watch the line speed here, Dave. These are very, very difficult carries now for the visitors, just coming out of that far box.
They've no depth, have they, at all here? Saints are on them because of the position they find themselves in. Saints on them very quickly, and what's that? 2 plays gone and barely 8 metres made. A couple of metres lost there. Smith again, they'll look for something quick and something ferocious from one of the big men, or some clever footwork, but Saints are doing their job. Pints alike in defence. A little bit of yardage gain here, but tackles running up. Well, we've got a bit of bad news for Saints fans, which I'll tell you about in just a second, as Wakefield get out of the set with a kick from Lino, and caught safely enough. And a return here from Lewis Murphy. Well, the news we're getting from downstairs is Harry Robertson, gone off with a quad injury, unlikely to return. Well, they've had some problems in those 3 quarters this year, haven't they?
No, they've had trouble all over that back line. I think barring round 1 or 2, it's almost like they get a player back and then they lose another one, Dave. And Harry Robertson just adds to that list.
Here's Whitby, offering an invitation to Knowles to have a look at what wreckage he can cause. It's back with Welsby. The chip is nice. Whitley's after it, but Johnstone's there ahead of them and is able to exit there. Not quite, because he was being tracked all the way by Welsby, and if he had got round the St Helens man, he would have had a good clearing run. There's a swinging arm. Clear penalty.
Part of Morgan Knowles' game is what makes him so good, his aggressiveness. But sometimes, and on another day, if that catches him high, he's gone.
Yeah, if he'd landed, he'd have been walking.
He hits his back, brushes over the top of his head.
initial impact takes away the force, that's awfully dangerous. Okay, good, penalty only.
So it's a penalty only, but he's a shake of his head, Morgan Knowles, but I think it might be a bit more of a personal disappointment there than anything else.
Yeah, just particularly, I know Morgan Knowles well enough to know that, you know, he's trying to up the ante in defence and really give it to Wakefield. He gets this one slightly wrong, and it's only through Josh Rourke's dipping of the head that saves him from being in a spot of bother, and it won't be the last time we say that about Morgan.
I'm pretty certain that he's quite happy he dipped the head as well than Josh Rourke. Wouldn't have wanted to stay in line of contact. Wakefield now, chance to lift here.
I'll tell you what though, Morgan Knowles will be a big miss for St Helens next season. Of course, joining the Dolphins.
Well, that's a loose pass. He nearly gave St Helens a chance to swoop. Instead, Wakefield still have it. Scruffy fashion, but they still have it. McMeekan to back in and maybe again get arms free to offload, but can't do so because of the attention that's paid by 4 St Helens defenders. Maybe Smith picks up. It's a good athletic effort, and the ball very nearly thrown away. It's picked up by Pitts. Pitts now white. Rourke trying to create some space on that far side. It's a little laboured. Scott can't go because his ankle's trapped in. Lino looks for a kick. Wormsley's off after it. But, the catch is taken safely by Saylor, and Saylor comes drifting back, making the 30-metre mark.
Decent return there from Tristan Saylor. Lewis Murphy now just looking to try and speed that ruck up. Good job on him. Delaney now.
Well, that's high. Will be a penalty. Morgan Knowles has come off, by the way, and Iggy Parsey's coming on. First involvement today on the back of this penalty, so St Helens will find themselves with an Iggy Parsey in their ranks, with ball in hand, 30 metres out.
Yeah, he's been a wrecking ball off the bench, Iggy Parsey. They've waited till around the 50-minute mark to introduce him to the field.
Here we go. Here we go. Parsey with a catch and the carry, and it's taken on 3 of them to initially slow him down and eventually put a big halt to that. It's with Welsby smuggling it away. Serenan's over there again, but stopped in his tracks by those Wakefield defenders. They find themselves back on their own line here because that's where St Helens have put them. Delaney head down and just direct with his approach. Arms stretched by Mbai. Where's he going? It's with Whitby, trying to trick his way through. Referee shouts hold, and Mbai springs up again. Lee gets it away, and Delaney, desperately close. Very near. And Mbai, there was a hand in there from the rock. The ball's kicked on by Welsby. It goes to ground. And the referee says that hand that came from behind the rock was in an offside position.
Another penalty given away here, Dave. Moral discipline from Wakefield. Just can't resist to have a reach around, try and disrupt Moses and Mbai's pass.
What are they doing here? Tap.
Yeah, surely.
Yeah, just for a moment there, I thought they were going for goal. That would, I think even the Saints fans would have booed that. But they're going to tap and go again and see where that will take them. And Parsey, with very, very fresh legs and very, very strong legs, pushes his side close again.
There's a try coming here, Dave. You can just feel it.
Another set of 6 early in the count. Whitby to Bell. Bell tries to spin out. It was Pitts that did a number on him, keeping hold and pinning him down. And Mbai again. Lees now. They all want to go. Lees trying to rock and roll his way over, but again Wakefield resisting. But for how long here? And Mbai behind Delaney. And now Welsby tries to get it over the top. I think there was a hand on that from Lachlan Wormsley. Yeah. So it'll be another set here for St Helens.
An important hand there as well, Dave. Because it's a certain try for Lewis Murphy. Just see him arriving into the picture. Lachlan Wormsley's right arm just goes over the sideline. It's another set for Wakefield to defend in the hardest position to do so on your try line.
Passy again, still full of energy.
One. Move, back foot line. Hold. Hold.
And by.
Go, one time it.
Here's Delaney.
2. Move, goal line. Hold. Go 2.
Back it spun again.
3. Move, back foot. Hold. Hold.
And by
Go 3.
stands and waits. Passy. Well, right underneath the sticks.
Hold. Release now.
St Helens are arrow-like in their attacking formation at the moment, keeping their opponents guessing, and by keeping them guessing as to which way he's going. Wellesby. It bounces into the hands of Murphy on that left-hand side, who comes searching back towards the middle, pushing them away, trying to get through some old teammates of his to find a way to the line.
Stand up, stand up.
One last play in the set. Wellesby kicks across the line, hands go up, Bell throws it out,
What an
and
offload.
Whitley's there again to prosper from some very clever hands that came from the inside. Bell with a pass, Whitley with a score, and St Helens are motoring towards glory.
Well, I felt the try was coming, Dave. I didn't think it would come in that fashion. An audacious offload from James Bell, and Matt Whitley yet to score for St Helens this season heading into this one. Well, he's got a double tonight. And Jack Wellesby's kick, just trying to land it on 3-man's head. And an offload there, a blind offload from James Bell, but he knows that there's people outside of him. The kick's a good one, the offload's even better. And Whitley, delighted, 24-0.
And George Whitby has another chance to add another couple of points to his names as well.
Yeah.
Whitley with a 4, Whitby looking for 2. Just to confirm, by the way, that news we brought you a little earlier, Harry Robertson off with a quad injury, unlikely to come back on. The reshuffle, you might have noticed, means that Dayton Sambo is on at the moment, and he's playing in the centres to Lewis Murphy, who's playing on the wing.
A smart inclusion there for Sambo. Thought it might have been because of Lewis Murphy returning in case he wasn't quite where he needed to be in terms of minutes. But losing Harry Robertson just allows carrying that outside back on the bench to be able to cope with that reshuffle. George Whitby lines this up here.
Strikes it
through as well.
Yeah, good kick, 5 out of 6. 26 points to 0.
I was almost going to please Wakefield for shutting out St Helens for 18 plays, but it's the last one that unpicks their defence. Again, James Bell, 20 points up. You can afford to throw that offload there, and Whitley rather, claiming his second try.
Some tongue twisters in Super League, aren't there? Whitby and Whitley, and we've got Essie and Essie at the moment at Hull.
You've even got Walmsley and Walmsley tonight.
Yeah, 2 Walmsleys tonight. On either side, different shapes, different speeds, but same there. And this is at one of the Walmsleys. Here's Parsey. There's only one Aggie, Parsey, who drives it in. Very nearly reaches a 30-metre mark. How many carries? He's like 5 carries now, hasn't he, since he's been on the field? Walmsley's back here. And look at them carrying them like sacks of cement on his shoulder, just urging them an extra few yards downfield, which has given a little bit of time here for Wellesby to get that kick away. Behind the 40, and if the bounce had been a little bit more skew-whiff, that could have caused problems for Walmsley. As it is, it's not an easy one to deal with, because picking it up close to his own line, and St Helens defenders are already there.
Yeah, the kick, the chase, and then the extra effort just to dominate their opposition. And they're doing it again here. They enjoy this part of the field.
So Wakefield doing some hard yards from inside their own half again at the moment. St Helens have been gobbling up the metres so far, both as individuals and as a team. Look at that. 5 of them have gone over 100 metres so far. Saylor leading that, Sirinen, Knowles, Lees and Murphy. And that's outside backs and front row forwards, and a mixture of everything there, isn't it?
Yeah, just a dominant display from St Helens in every department.
There's a kick by Lino. Catch by Saylor. Punches to the inside, here's Sambo.
Hold, going no effect. Harvey, I cannot tell you all day. Get back. 2. Move, come on, mate, walk with me. Hold. Go 2.
Wellesby. Saylor offering it back to the middle again.
3.
Bedison coming into the middle of the field, looking for a bit of hard work.
Go, Reynolds, good. 3.
And they push inside that Wakefield half, and the big man leading the way again, passing. And Walmsley backs it up. It's like having 2 fast bowlers in cricket, isn't it? One of them sending bounces from one end, the other comes on and does something similar, causing havoc. Johnston remains calm, the ball's knocked away from him, but I think it was a St Helens touch.
It's John Benison competing there.
Oh, hang on. St Helens ball here.
Where's it? Where is it? What's going on?
I fought for all money.
St Helens ball, and the referee has been told that they want a challenge. Wakefield are challenging here. So captain's challenge, because he thinks it was a St Helens touch. Wakefield disputing that. Let's hear from the video referee.
Yeah, the live call is play the ball to you.
Play the ball wherever?
Yeah, lots of choice here.
Got a captain's challenge by Wakefield. The challenging that the touch was by St Helens. So it's from a kick, so we'll check everybody's onside. So play it through here. So Whitby's the kicker. All chaser onside to the right, so we'll play it through. Play it through here to the catch. We'll put something close in here. Something close in. So we've got Johnson here going for the ball. Johnson going for the ball. And we've got John Benison, so we're seeing whose hand this comes off. So they're all both competing. We'll look from another angle here, see who this comes off.
Do you reckon? Not so sure, me.
Can't see from that angle, so we'll go back to this one. This should tell us who it comes off.
Hey, you're all over me today, aren't you? You can come with me every week, mate. It's brilliant, right, man?
No, it's very good. It's hard to pick them on the run like that.
Yeah, I bet. Can't be wrong yet. It's lateral. Yeah, Wakefield are challenging. The lad calls it comes off Johnson's touch.
So we're seeing who this ball comes off. We'll have to go on this angle. This is their best angle. So we'll play it through here. Seeing whose hand it comes off. And that looks to come off John Benison's hand there. And it goes forward. And then it goes into touch. Challenge successful.
Well, St Helens fans were less than impressed with watching that challenge. They're going to be even less impressed now because it's gone against them. Challenge successful. It's Wakefield fans that are cheering. Everyone's confused. Wakefield fans are cheering. Wakefield have it back.
2 from 2 there.
We've still got 22 minutes and 20 seconds to go here, Carl.
John Benison thought initially that's who it came off, but maybe looked like it hit the shoulder of Tom Johnstone. But it matters not now. It's Wakefield who begin their set 20 metres away from their own line. Manuela just tries to spin out that challenge.
Penalty here for Wakefield. So Wakefield fans cheering that ironically.
Jack Wellesby called offside.
Lino finds touch. That's a decent kick as well. He's given Wakefield an encouraging position to work from here. It's a long, long way back, and, you know, it's going to take something miraculous for them to win the game from here, I think it's safe to say, but they're looking to just lift their spirits here ahead of that big match against Castleford next Thursday. Get a bit of momentum going their way. Another set of 6 called as well, but right at the start, Hamlin Uwele drives it in. It's Harvey Smith who's there at dummy half. Not had a lot to cheer so far, the tricolores, the red, white and blues, but can they do something here?
They haven't been down this end of the field for what seems an eternity, Dave.
Searched across and Lino, and then all the way to Johnstone, and we know how good he is, and he's got support back on the inside, and Ollie Pratt will finish that off. That was classy. Classy from Wakefield Trinity. A try finally for their travelling fans to appreciate. Ollie Pratt the man on the end of it, Johnson's injection of pace, creating all of that.
Well, it took just about an hour before Ollie Pratt slides over, and you're right there, it was wonderful shape from Wakefield as they moved the ball from right to left. You just see here, from one side of the field to the other, Mason Lino on that cutout ball there to Tom Johnstone. We know how dangerous he can be and how he can finish in the most tightest of spaces. He just gives the ball back on the inside to his centre, pushing through. Register Wakefield's first score, 20 minutes to go. They're going to need a few more to send them fans home happy.
Well, if you're a Wakefield fan, you're excited by that centre-wing partnership, aren't you, Ollie Pratt and Tom Johnson? We just saw a glimmer there.
That's what Wakefield can do, Dave. If they get enough time and enough decent ball in decent positions, they're able to strike from anywhere. They just haven't had enough of it tonight.
So Lino looking to narrow the gap by another 2, but I think he's put that wide. Yes, he has. Starts it left and it never really moved. So 26 points to 4. It remains gargantuan, the task ahead of Wakefield.
Pitts with that cut-out ball. Tom Johnstone just gets on the outside of his winger, John Pennison.
Time off. Keep looking out the 10, James.
So Saints will start again, and Wakefield encouraged because they'll get the ball back in their hands here. Looking to build on that. Small acorns and all of that. They've not got long, 19 minutes to go. It's the rest of what we've got on offer this weekend, as you can see. Wakefield look as though they're not going to add to their points tally so far this season, but they will have a big, big game against Castleford next Thursday. First of that rivals round. Hull FC against Hull KR, 12 o'clock. Wigan against St Helens, 2:45. You're going nowhere, Good Friday. That's going to be sensational. And then Leeds against Huddersfield at 5:25. 3 games back-to-back. And they're going to be pretty tasty, the lot of them. And Lee against Warrington and Catalan against Salford on the Saturday. Meantime, here's Pratt. 1 play to go, but Wakefield playing with a little more verve than they have done so far tonight. Lino.
He's good.
Sailor's got to travel a yard or 2 to make sure it's a comfortable catch, and the back track and burst trying to get through. Wakefield offside from the kick, and St Helens get the penalty.
I was just about to say a perfect set after points. They're offside here.
So another captain's challenge. That's gone down well. Saints fans are loving that.
There's been a prior breach of an escort.
So we've got a captain's challenge by Wakefield. They're challenging the ruling of offside within the 10. They believe there's an escort in the build-up. So we'll play it through from the kick here. So we'll play it through from the kick. So we know that Nicotimo's offside from the kick, but we'll play it through and see if there's any escort in the build-up. So we're playing it through here. Play it through. We know that we've got 2 chase to the middle offside as well. We'll play it through. Play it through here to see any escort from the kick. So we'll look at the actions of James Bell here. So we'll go close in on this if we can. Looking at James Bell's actions. So he's moving forwards, He's always kept his line there. Then his back's to Roke. And Roke just runs into James Bell. And that's caused by Roke. There's no lateral movement with the shoulder. It's challenge unsuccessful.
I think that means the end of the challenges tonight, doesn't it?
It sure does, yeah. The right challenge as well. I don't like to see players rope there. It's almost trying to con the referee.
80 minutes to play. St Helens lead here by 26 points to 4. Saints looking to do points difference a whole load of good as well. It started off on a wonderful footing, didn't it? That 86-0 against Salford on that first day. A game that you really enjoyed, Kyle. I can tell by the look on your face.
I was thinking wonderful, Dave. I'm not too sure about that.
Here's Walmsley. Rocking and rolling it again. And by at dummy half. St Helens switching positions. And off it goes towards Saylor.
Surrender! Stand now,
And By's back in there. Wellesby's waiting. Wellesby has it. Who's he going to draw on this time? Oh, it's Parsi, who wasn't expecting it. Quite evidently, because he's lost the ball.
A little bit sloppy for the last 5 minutes there. A couple of penalties given away, set restarts, and now an error for Saints. Must be forgiven with 22 points up. But Parsi doesn't really have any interest in that pass there. Probably wasn't expecting it. Got to be able to expect anything in and around Jack Wellesby.
I mean, we know what we expect from Wakefield here. They've got to find points.
Yeah.
Not very unlikely, but they've got to still keep that battle to try and find points. How much now does St Helens need to keep that focus and keep a concentration in preparation for what's to come over the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, absolutely paramount, Dave. You know, it's going to be very unlikely that they're going to be 22 points up on Good Friday. So they have to almost treat this as if it is a 0-0 scoreline and just keep the methodical process around what they want to do, what they planned and trained for all week in this game. And if they can do that, there's certainly more points out there for them. But Wakefield will start to move the ball, roll the dice.
This is where arguably Wakefield are going to be at their most dangerous, isn't it, from a St Helens point of view, because they have got that licence to take a risk here.
And we sometimes see it so often where games are gone that teams just almost play a bit carefree and they find points out there. It's probably going to be too little too late as we enter in towards the final 15 minutes.
Nicotimo down, Harvey Smith picks up at dummy half. Lino will put it up in the air. There's another challenge coming here. Johnston is trying to get up there, and Johnston does get up there, and the grabbing hands have got him, and then he offloads. And it's gone a knock-on from Johnston, as you can hear. So St Helens get the turnover.
The threat's there, isn't it, with Johnstone? We've said it a number of times, whether it's on that short dropout that they look for him or the aerial threat. It's there. He climbs higher than Tristan Saylor. The offload there seemed to have gone for Saints player, and therefore the ball's turned over.
Big game elsewhere. Hulking Sarova's leading by 12 points to 10 against Wigan. That's going the distance. That's on Sky Sports action, by the way. Meantime, here, St Helens. Oh, that was very slow and scruffy at the play the ball. Almost lost possession there because Wakefield were coming creeping up. And by eventually deciding to pick it up. Walmsley.
Move back of the line, hold! Go, 3.
And die again. Parsi slugging it in once more. Having spent most of the match on the bench, he's hungry. And plenty of that muscular action down the middle.
40.
And Wellesby will kick away. Walks across to catch safely enough. Walmsley's gone with him.
1. Move, find a
Tackle
ball.
4 kick there from Wellesby.
There's Pitts. Johnstone. Oof. Collision. Bodies spinning.
Shoot, Tom. Go two, nice, Tom.
Ollie Pratt.
3, move, back middle. Okay, it's out, hold. Go 3.
Liam Hudd's back on the field in that number 9 role.
Play on 3.
Lino with a short pass.
4, move, white line.
Trying to spring the trap, but St Helens keeping the door shut for the moment.
Oh, lovely ball.
Brilliant, brilliant stuff. And a galloping run away. Oh, Lino will finish that. But it was absolutely sublime in the build-up. Lino with a score. Wakefield have a second. But that took some skill to get him in that position.
Oh, fantastic play there. Beautiful to see big men just combining through the middle of the field. It's a wonderful line. I think it was Nicotimo who just bursts onto the end of this play. Lovely soft hands. I beg your pardon. It's Antoni who just burst through, and Lino in support. And that was brilliant to watch that.
Well, he's not taking his time. There's still 13 minutes to go, 12 minutes to go. Still highly unlikely, but they've got it back to within 3 scores.
Just taking a kick now.
A hubble bubble of a little bit of frustration from St Helens fans. Lino has kicked it safely enough. So 26 points to 10. Maybe, Kyle? Maybe?
I think so.
I'll speak to him anyway, amazing.
I love your optimism.
Well, 12 minutes to go, and they've got to try and... Well, I tell you what, if they can score again...
Well, they believe.
Well, of course, they'll always believe. But so far, I think for an hour, St Helens dominated this game, and I mentioned that they give away a couple of penalties and then some looseness on the floor that led to 6 against, a couple of errors has allowed this Wakefield side, and they don't need much of an opening to Wakefield. And they've took 2 tries.
Okay, mate.
Time's against them, though.
Well, if they score in this next set, you'd give them a chance.
Yeah.
Surrender.
But St Helens will be looking to squeeze the life out of them again. Walmsley scrambling to get up. The referee saying you were actually locking in your opponent with your legs, so get up and play it, Sunshine, which he did.
Go 2.
So they're having to start from very deep here. Lino's again involved. Hope helps it on its way here. Here's Pratt. We know what a good player he is. Another youngster who's beginning to shine in this Super League season.
Championship Young Player of the Year last season, Ollie Pratt. Look, Dave, I remember going back to the Magic weekend a couple of years ago where I was part of the St Helens team taking on Catalan Dragons, and they scored 3 tries in the last 5 minutes to beat us on that day, and that's something I'll never forget. So I'll never lose hope, but the reality of this game is I don't see a way back for them.
Oh, there's a little chip and chase. You've just ignited social media, by the way. St Helens fans are loving you for bringing up that memory, I'm sure.
That was one of them. I left the stadium just thinking, what on earth had happened there?
It's golden point extra time in the end, wasn't it, that one? That they won it in?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Anyways, I don't think this is going to happen here tonight. 3 tries and 2 goals needed for Wakefield to take it into golden point extra time. 3 tries, 3 goals for him to win it from here. But we are talking in the realms of the unlikely with 10 minutes to go. And St Helens settling their ship, having conceded a couple of tries, just looking to get through this set. And if not score, at least put Wakefield on the back foot with a final play.
5. Move, get back middle.
And this is the final play.
Go 5.
Here's Whitby with a kick towards the touchline. That's
Touching goal.
well, it's not the best result, but that, you know, the different bounce and all that could have been a fantastic kick. Oh, hang on, referee saying touch before the flag, so it was a fantastic kick.
It was, yeah.
I thought he'd gone out of play in the dead ball area.
It's flag touch, mate.
I think his kicking has been spot on tonight. I can only think of that one error
Yeah.
when he ushered it over the sideline, but every one of his kicks tactically have landed within a couple of metres shy of the try line. And they really have been able to contain probably Wakefield's biggest threat, which is this man, Tom Johnstone, taking him out of the game.
Well, that kick has given them this position, St Helens, in terms of penning their opponents deep in the heart of where it hurts. Wakefield having to cover some ground to get out of this. They have got the speedsters, but can they find a gap? Well, they've got a penalty. Penalty, 8 minutes to go, penalty.
This will be disappointing for Paul Wellens. You mentioned there about what's to come. Well, the last 15 minutes, sorry, they've almost just taken the foot off the gas in terms of discipline.
I rolled the first one into the second. In the finish, mate. I rolled the first one into the second.
We saw the last couple of players, though, the last couple of Wakefield's tries came off the back of penalties. And they're setting up deep here.
Wakefield rolling on. These are the next 5 games for St Helens. You can see that list. Wigan away next week, Warrington away, then Leeds at Magic weekend. And they're not back here until they play against Catalan on the 15th of May. And they will want to finish this game with a little bit of pomp and ceremony, but at the moment they're finishing it on the back foot because Wakefield are putting them there again. Lino across the line. Cosa. The Saints can ill afford to concede for the sake of their own pride as much as anything else at the moment. It's a big effort again that's kept alive, and the intercept, and St Helens have it back again, which lets them off the hook.
Liam Hood just tried to use both of his middles there, and Morgan Knowles was just a little bit ahead of the line and just takes that ball in, kills the threat.
Go to
26-6 when these two met
square markers
at Wakefield earlier in the season. 26-10 here tonight, so there's a bit of parity about those score lines. St Helens winning on both occasions. 7 minutes to go here.
Hold. Go for.
Quick hands again.
Move, get ball left. Hold. Go 5.
Wellesby
James
sticks it high, walks underneath it. Tries to find a path himself out of trouble.
Stand now, pull back, find me.
And Lino
James
crouches in anticipation of the ball being played. Wormsley again. Penalty against St Helens, offside.
Again, cannot afford. They need full 80-minute performances with what's to come. Of course, job done tonight. Can't look past 2 points. But they're going to have a full polished 80 minutes with what's to come. I'm looking at those, particularly those next 3 games. Wigan, Warrington, Leeds at Magic.
Wait there, please.
Well, the tap restarts. He's Wakefield 40 away. Tony just pushing himself an inch or two closer. Here's Hood.
Moses, quick in the rock.
This now is taken on by Nicotima.
Move now, George. Hold.
Here's Hood again. Searching the blind side and finding a little bit of a gap behind that rock there and flicking off a good offload. Nicotimo keeps it alive. It's taken on again by Cosa. Hood wants it played quickly. He's screaming at the referee to let his player get up and play that ball. Pitts puts it out there. Lino's there again. Just delays with a pass to create the space, and Wormsley with a finish. Oh, he died too soon. I think he died too soon. There's no celebration there, but he could sense the defenders coming across and tried to hurl himself at the line. He needed to be Superman to score from that range, but he's plain old Lachlan Wormsley, and he's pulled up short.
Well, there's no doubt about it that what Lachlan Wormsley can finish. Put an extra effort there from Jack Wellesby to almost double defend and then get across. I think it's Tristan Saylor as well that makes absolute certain. You're right, he's probably a little bit too short, run out of land for sure.
It was a desperate attempt in a desperate position. There was nothing else he could do there, really.
Well, again, though, Dave, that didn't need to happen. It's St Helens that have invited that through their own discipline, invited that set near their own line. They do well to recover, of course, but they didn't need to be there.
Hold! Hold, Liam, hold! Go, good 10, 1. Two, move!
So, St Helens just slowly but surely extricating themselves again from their own end of the field. Taking the sting out of Wakefield's final flickers of desire in the final 4 minutes of the match. Here's Morgan Knowles. Done well by the Wakefield defenders. He gained a yard or two, he lost a yard or two. And by Wellesby.
5, move, pull back! Hold.
They're on the last. They're only on their own 30-metre mark. So
leave it! Leave him! Give 10, give 10!
From Whitby. And it skids past Rourke, and that gives encouragement to those St Helens chasers. Rourke running it back and trying to slice away through, but Saints have gathered an extra 10-15 metres with that miss. Well, you have the pleasure of choosing the player of the match tonight. I do believe, Kyle, so we'll come to that in just a moment. But Wakefield trying to find a way downfield again. Here's Walmsley.
4, move, red line! Hold.
This is Hood. Into the final 3 minutes. 1.5 break again, and a flick back on the inside, and Rourke's travelling well. Who's he got in support? Well, he's gone for the kick on the outside, and Pratt is chasing hard here. Oh, and Pratt, I think, has finished. It's got to be a video referee, because he was so close to the touchline. Well, this might be a spectacular ending here. Let's hear from the video referee again. Aaron.
Touch and grounding, please.
It's tackle 4, and we have an on-field decision of a try. So it's from a kick, so we'll play it through here, and we'll pause it on the foot. So Rourke kicks the ball, and Pratt's onside, so we can play it through here. So both players, Benison and Pratt, are going towards the line here. This will be the best angle. So he picks the ball up cleanly there, Oliver Pratt. We'll keep going towards the line, towards the line, towards the line. Towards the line. We'll just check the back angle on this. So we need to look at the ball being rounded first. So we can see there, the ball is on the line, and you can see that the feet are in the field, the legs are in the field of play of Oliver Pratt. Thank you, I've seen all I need.
Well, that's a great chase, isn't it, from Ollie Pratt? Wonderful chase. And just keeping himself tidily in the field of play as well there. It's a great finish.
Yeah, it's exquisite. A real nice try. Probably, well, in fact it is. It's the try of the game. Deep from inside their own half. Rourke just pushing through off an offload. And then the kick needed to be perfect, and it was. And the finish is to match as well. Tom Grant awards the try. Again, I mentioned a couple of times when St Helens scored that it had been coming. I think Wakefield's try there had been coming. The Saints had just been off the boil for the last quarter of the game. You just get to see this once again. Lovely pass there. Wonderful offload, like all good fullbacks do.
Some good young. I mean, Rourke's not that young, is he? Now, how old is he now? 25.
Yeah.
But I mean, a player that's come through. We didn't see enough of him at London last year because of injuries. But he's a player who's so excited to watch more of this season. As is that fella, Ollie Pratt, try scorer. But he's going to be a centre to savour, isn't he? In the next few years, if he carries on the way he has been. He's only 20 years of age. He is a youngster.
Time, lads, time to run.
2 minutes to go, 26-14. So, not quite the sensational comeback, but it has been a very good fight to the finish from Wakefield's point of view. time running out on them. The start has gone straight out of play, and it's going to be a penalty for Wakefield. While we're waiting for that to sort itself out, Kyle Amor, your player of the match tonight.
Yeah, there's been a couple of decent performances. You know, I think Jack Wellesby's been his usual industrial self. Curtis Sirenin on that left edge has caused Wakefield all sorts of trouble. But for me, it's the young half, George Whitby. I think his kicking game has been exceptional. He came up with a beautiful try assist. I think he's just showed a level of maturity. He's our Betfred player of the match, yeah.
Well, Wakefield have a chance to score again here, because they will get a full set in. There's more than enough time for that to happen. And they're in great position. Hamlin Uweli makes that even a little better by driving it in. Hood picks up from dummy half and goes out there. It's a push that has taken them even closer here. Hood skimming it back. Lino doesn't know where to go. There are arms grabbing at him, and he can't really promote from there. So off they go again. This is Pitts and Pratt attracting three defenders his way. Hood again, sweeping back to the middle. Cosa across to Lino, and Lino out. The pass is untidy, but Walmsley can pick it up and make something of this. The kick and chase is hampered from his point of view by the attendance of Saylor, who was waiting. Tristan Saylor. Is he hurt? No, he's not. He's okay. He's staying down for a while there. He's just eating up the seconds, isn't he? Because there is only a matter of seconds remaining. St Helens will finish the game, all things being equal, with ball in hand. It's another slow one from Wellesby. Do we have to play it again? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And half-heartedly taken up by Curtis Sirenin, who sees the game through to a finish. A much-needed win from St Helens to pick themselves up after that Challenge Cup defeat last week. But did it come with a gusto that would please all the Saints fans? Because from 26-0 up, they've allowed Wakefield a pathway back in to the night. 26-14 it finishes.
Yeah, well, Wakefield looked 14 points to 6 in that second half in favour of the visitors. But of course the damage was done in the first. And St Helens, of course, they would have liked to have finished that game in a much better fashion. But they walk away from here tonight with 2 points, and it is deserving 2 points as well.
And on the plus side, what about the performance of young George Whitby tonight? I mean, I don't think anyone coming to the ground would necessarily have expected him to be playing here tonight, but he goes away with the man of the match performance, and thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, I think St Helens, they looked good, didn't they, with George Whitby and Jack Wellesby in the halves. Of course, you've got the experienced Johnny Lomax there as well, and Tristan Saylor at the back. There's a headache selection there for Paul Wellens for sure heading into the derby, but that young man there in the picture will have done no harm for his cause. A stellar game from him tonight. Defensively as well, I thought he aimed up. I can't think of too many times where he looked mismatch in size. Quality performance. St Helens with a vital 2 points, given where they are at this stage of the season.
Well, we are going to grab a word with George Whitby in just a moment. We're also going to be hearing, hopefully, from Paul Wellens and from Daryl Powell as well. Before we go off there, we'll be looking back at some of that action in the second half too. But St Helens can applaud their fans here tonight, and that will be reciprocated, because a win's a win's a win and all of that. And for a while it looks as though it could have been a very, very emphatic victory here tonight. 60 minutes, they were utterly dominant, 26 points to 0 at that point. But Wakefield just